So let's get our rocket parts and materials. We are looking for 2 spacer rings, glue, by the way, the first row here is welcome. I recommend you all, if you're going to be doing this, get a piece of paper or 2. Go ahead and get that now for row, please. Engine tube, engine lock, and you may not want a ruler, or you can use the paper ruler that came with it. Second row, you guys can go get some paper towels. Zoomies, you might want to have a paper towel ready to wipe off any excess glue, clean up any messes. It's going to be a little bit messy. I'll give you guys a minute to do that. Last, everybody else, welcome to get some paper towels. Last row. All right, remember, I do it, you don't do it. When I'm done, then you can do it, okay? All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna create our engine mount assembly, which holds the solid fuel engine, if you don't have yet. I will post a picture of this in the slide deck. Is that the right direction? Yes. So to give you an example of where we're going and what the measurements are, it's right here. So roughly these measurements, an 1/8 inch from the top for the first spacer ring, that's where it begins. And from the bottom of the engine tube here, it's 1 inch up is the beginning of where that spacer ring is supposed to be. The engine lock note is inside in between the spacer rings and the engine tube. And note that the hook part, the extrusion, is pointed inward, not outward. All right. Let's see here. I will leave that there for now. All right, so we'll do a dry fit before we get the wet glue. Just gonna practice a little bit maybe. So I'm gonna put this engine lock on here, not like this. Right, when I remember I said this piece here has to be inward, we'll turn it so that it's inward. All right, and slide it down so that one end is sticking out and the other end's flush, relatively speaking. Where is my optimal viewing point here? Directly. That's good. Okay. Don't put these on your fingers. They're not rings, okay? I had a student one year put it on his finger. His finger started to swell up. It was so tight, and that made it even harder to get off, right? Toy, too funny. Looking back anyway. No, he didn't have to remove the finger to get it off. It can be a pain to get off though. Rings can be difficult to get off sometimes, so don't put these on your fingers. That's not what they are, all right? All right, they're not finger rings. So they can be difficult to get onto the engine tube, especially with the engine lock on. And sometimes it helps to flip it. All right. And it might help a little bit having the glue on. You guys may even have to crush the engine tube just a little bit. Don't try to do as little damage as possible though. Spinning it helped me get it on finally. And that's about where that one's going to end up, roughly 1/8 of an inch from the top. All right, I don't need to practice with the bottom one. Just wanted to see what I was getting into. Okay. And I probably failed to mention that you're going to need something to write with, a pencil. All right, so says here that the top should be 1/8 inch down, so let's mark our engine tube 1/8 of an inch down from the top. From the other end, let's mark it up 1 inch. Let's see if I can do this backwards. My ruler doesn't start at 0, so I need to make sure I line this up correctly. 1/8 of an inch there, right? A half, quarter, 1/8. Looking at roughly there. And double check it. Looks good to me. All right, and now 1 inch for the other end. What would it say? Yes. It's a little high to me, but that's okay. This one doesn't have to be perfect, but it helps if it's pretty close. All right, let's check it again. That looks good to me. All right, now for the fun part. We've got our marks. 1/8 of an inch, 1 inch, 1 inch, 1/8 of an inch. All right. There are a couple of ways to apply the glue. Here they're applying the glue directly to the engine tube, and then they put the engine lock on the outside. It doesn't matter whether you put the glue over or under the engine lock, okay? In my opinion, it doesn't matter. It'll be fine either way, okay? Some people will try to put the glue inside the engine lock rings first. That's fine. You just might get a little glue on the end and inside when you do that. When you put it on, the glue kind of stretches out under the edge there. You just have to make sure you clean that out so it doesn't create an obstruction for the actual solid fuel engine. Okay. All right. So let's do the short end first. Screw the lid here. I'm going to set this aside. Let's see here. And so the spacer ring is going to be right here, right? Going to be right about there. I want some glue all the way around there. And I'm going to be biased in where I put the glue towards the end that the spacer ring is going to be slid on from, because then it'll slide over the glue and push it the other direction. Well, make sure you don't do this on top of a valuable table, dining room table. Check with your parents. A little glue goes a long ways. I probably put too much glue on here. All right. Don't forget your engine lock. Put that on before you put the spacer ring on. And this is the fun, difficult part sometimes. Oops. Okay. Good. Still got a little glue squeeze out. Let's see what I'm doing or not. Okay. I need to get it down a little bit further and stay in a little bit of a pill. There we go. That's perfect. All right, I need to make sure the engine lock is slid down all the way. And if I want, I can spread the glue out a little more evenly. Same with the bottom. There you go. All right. Generally, I don't see any need to apply glue afterwards. That should be plenty enough to hold it, okay? Now, this is cardboard. One of them is a wax piece of cardboard, so it's easier to slide the engine spacer ring on. The spacer ring's not coated in wax, so glue is a little bit, it's a liquid. Probably has a little bit of water in it. And wood is porous. Cardboard is porous, so it'll actually absorb some of that glue And when it does, it expands. And then when it dries, it dries the glue kind of inside a little bit and expanded. It makes for a really strong joint if done correctly. Now, just saying. All right. One more to go. This one's going to go here, 1 inch up. Remember, I measured an inch, and that's where the spacer ring begins. So there's my line right there. So my spacer ring goes just above the line. So that's where I'm going to put my glue, just above the line. And try not to put too much glue on. All right, that should be plenty. Okay. That seemed to work on that side so much. I'm going to come down here. Let's see what we're at. There we go. Yes, I got a little glue on my fingers in the process. That's okay. There's still plenty of glue there. We'll spin it down as we get it in place. That's just about right. Doesn't have to be perfect. Not for this. Make sure your engine lock is down all the way. Okay, so it's flush. And if you want, you can smear the glue just like you're popping a bathtub. So it looks nice and neat. And that's it. We have any glue inside? No, we're good. So now when we slide the solid fuel engine, which is it's also a cylinder shape, it'll slip nice and firmly in here. And when you put it in, it'll be pushing down on the engine here, pushing down on the engine lock until it goes all the way in, and then the engine lock pops up and keeps it from falling out. We'll set that aside and let it dry before you put it in with your materials. Okay? All right, your turn. So you can see where the engine lock is supposed to be slid down. That's important. The part that's hanging out is on the 1 inch end. That was the question we had. One engine tube starts 1/8 of an inch from the end. That's not much. And the other one starts 1 inch from the other end. And you know what? These measurements you don't have to be exact with it. Okay? Just be pretty end. That makes any sense. And just a little bead around the end. If you put a lot of glue on, you're going to have quite a mess. Doesn't take much glue at all. I use. I almost forgot here. As soon as you're done, be sure to screw that lid down on your glue bottle so the glue doesn't dry out. Okay? Make sure you screw that lid down.